You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are ladies, things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. For over 16 years, going on 17. Boy, we're getting old. We're almost at the big 20. And over 2,200 episodes, we bring the Chris Voss Show. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives, because we need more. That's the whole reason we've been sticking around this time is we're greedy. We're greedy bastards who want more audience. We always want more audience. At night, I just lay there at night going, I want more audience. I want more audience. How can I get more audience? Be funnier on the show, Chris. Maybe that's the answer. Anyway, guys, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTok, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com, and all the insights we have there you can check out. Today we have two young gentlemen on the show. They're going to be talking to us about some of the work that they do. James Lawson, founder and chief executive of River Consulting Group, and Denny Berta, the chief commercial officer, joins us on the show today. We're going to be talking to them about what they do, how they do it, give you some insights on their entrepreneurism and building what they do, and maybe what the future of SaaS business is in 2025. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Doing great, Chris. First, thanks for starting off by calling us young. That's been a while. So
I do that to everybody. We have some really old novelists that are on the show that are in their 90s, I think, now. And And you know, we throw that to everybody. Plus, I'm trying to self-project onto myself, trying to convince everyone I'm young. So, James and Denny, did I get your last name correct?
Yeah, spot on. Well done.
Let me have you guys do your bios. Give us your .coms, where you want people to find you on the interwebs, and also give us a rundown on some of your background.
Yeah, sure. I'm James Lawson. You can find our business at riverconsultancygroup.com. My background, I've been in a thing called customer success, which has got blurry meanings to many people, but I've been in it since the infancy ward, back in when it began, when SaaS sort of started coming alive. So around about 25 years. And I started up at Oracle and then moved to several other companies and learned my trade through failing very fast, effectively. And today we run a very unique offering, which me and Denny will talk about. But effectively, we are a byproduct of, I'm certainly the byproduct of years of just quick learning and having to face adversity in the tech industry, which we're bringing skills with today.
All right. And Denny?
Yeah, my road was a little more twisty and turny. I started out working in nonprofits for about a decade, better part of a decade, doing social work and things like that. And when I realized that I didn't want to be poor the rest of my life, I decided to pivot. Was living in Seattle at the time, and a lot of friends that I knew from various tech companies, in the area, Microsoft, Meta, all that, they said, if you're really good at working with kind of whiny teenagers, you'd probably be really good working with SaaS executives. So I drew that line and started my career in SaaS, about a decade ago, also coming through the customer success vein. And James and I met 4 or 5 years ago. He was the VP at the company I was head of customer success for, and we kind of started a beautiful relationship from there. We've often referred to each other as each other's work wives.
You guys make a cute couple.
Yeah, thanks. Ugly kids, but a cute couple.
Yeah.
Was that your parents or no? No, anyway, sorry.
Somewhere on the line.
I was gaming way too much last night, evidently, on Black Ops 6. So much shade here. We're throwing people's mom under the bus. So when you guys got together, what was the proponent, that made you guys go, hey, we should quit working for other people. We should create our own agency. Was there some sort of, problem that you guys were looking to solve? Was there some sort of, market fit that you're like, hey, there's something we should be able to take advantage of here as a couple?
I think, Chris, you know what? Looking back, I think what we did was what any fan does from the sideline of any sports game. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have done things like that. I would change this. That's not the right way of doing it. And who are we to say that that's right or wrong? And I think the proponent, as you said, that drives it was really that we knew that we had some skin in the game. We had some ammunition, some experience that we could bring to the industry. And we felt frustrated that we couldn't bring it there. And I think in big corporate organizations, it's very easy to get kind of pushed down. And we were seeing that a lot. And I think from the sidelines, me and Denny had exactly the same views on it, but we didn't want to stand aside and just shout at the field, the players on the field. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be the coaches, we wanted to make sure that it was working. And I think, that ultimately we saw consultancy businesses used over and over again. And if we're all being honest, do people really like using consultancy firms?
We're throwing everybody on the bus today.
Your mama, your consultant,
we're just shaming everybody by the
time. Yeah. I think it comes under the same category as lawyer. You've got to be careful.
Wow, now we're really okay. Now you're really insulting everybody.
I think it's interesting too. I mean, so James and I both were getting a little tired of playing corporate shill. Yeah. And so when we started the consultancy business, James started, I joined about a year in, but supported him from the get-go. But at first this idea was we're going to go and we're going to keep doing what we've done, which is help SaaS companies, help businesses understand what customer success is, how to do it well, how to stay within your, kind of net recurring revenue and things like that. But everyone who's been coming to us for the past 2 years, yes, we still get customer success work, but it's been, what does that have to do with sales? What does that have to do with go-to-market? What does that have to do with marketing? What does that have to do, with the janitors in the office? Like every other part of the business besides customer success started asking us, started hiring us. All of a sudden you had a couple of guys who've just been doing customer success, speaking on AI. And we kind of came into the life and iteration of River as it is now, by everyone else telling us what they needed us to tell them, talk to us about this, talk to this, how can customer success help this? And so we also realized about 6 months ago that James and I were not experts at everything, shocker alert, spoiler for the fans. So we went out and we built our partnership group, which is something we're both really proud of, something I care about deeply. It's my little baby in the company, I think, is we have some great other consultants that we built relationships with along the way. We've got an expert in kind of neurodivergence and how that affects the workplace. We've got an amazing IT strategy advisor. We found all these people who were doing what we did, but with a very niche. And we kind of said, a little bit screw the big firms who say they can do everything because, they can maybe, and they have a senior somewhere who can, but they write a playbook and they hand it down to the kid out of college and say, great, go do this with whatever company pays us a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And we said, no, we want to be able to bring that expertise. And so what we've been kind of labeling as our what can River do for the past 2 months is we actually say we're a business in a box. What's really cool is now our customers are coming to us and they thought they were talking to the customer success guys, but now we're actually saying, tell us literally everything you're willing to tell us about a business, the good, the bad, the ugly, the challenges. And because we've built this great partnership group, this great network of people around us, what we're actually able to do is start and say, yeah, maybe your problem is, on surface, a go-to-market number, your net revenue retention, your EBITDA, whatever. But hey, your problem might actually be all the way down to they hate the tools they're using to get you there. Oh. And so it's new world, new challenges stuff. If you had asked us a year ago, 2 years ago, we would have never guessed this is where the road led, but it's made for a really fun journey and challenges every day that I would have never guessed I could be doing, let alone helping people with. I mean, I guess ask our customers if we're helping or not, but we try.
It sounds like the market fit you guys have found is just more customer service based things. You guys bill yourselves on your website as calming the chaos for SaaS scale-ups. And you help solve their complex problems of SaaS business leaders and help them solve problems. Are you guys, I noticed you guys have a UK.com. Are you guys do work internationally, or is there a certain region you do business in?
Yeah, we're across the globe. So we're across the globe with all those skill sets, and we've kind of been really careful in our selection of consultants because typically where they're located, but also what their skills are. But typically, when you engage in a consultancy firm, effectively you just want experts to come in. And more than often or not, and I know this is really controversial, shock horror, Chris, I'm saying something else controversial, but that basically you hire someone to tell you what you already know and pay them a lot of money for it. And because it's come from somewhere external, it's justifiable to a VC or a PE firm. The difference we're doing with our people and where we hire them and their skill set is, the best way I can compare it is to that scene in Good Will Hunting where Robin Williams is talking to Matt Damon on the bench and they've just had a falling out. And Matt Damon's a super clued up guy, right? He's got photographic memory. And Robin Williams said to him, hey, you're just a kid. You haven't smelt what it's like in the 16th chapel. You've never been there. You don't know what it's like. And that's where we brought people on board, not just people that have the expertise and the skills, but people who have been there and done it. So that our human interactions, cultural interactions across the globe match our clients, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to walk your talk and talk your walk, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I noticed you guys solved some problems that a lot of SaaS people are having. Can you give us a rundown on some of them? Poor employee engagement, misaligned business transitions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think what is interesting. So for us, whenever we go into consulting, and this isn't the unique part of us, but we always start with discovery. And I think where our clients have always been a little apprehensive on the first call, but loosen up by the second or third discovery is, usually discovery is like code word for tell me everything that's wrong, and I'm going to get out the Excel sheet and start writing the line items and the zeros. But because what we've realized is very rarely is the problem one person, one department, one issue, and very rarely is it the thing you're probably paying a consultant to come in and tell you about, unless it's the kind of the case Jay mentioned where it's just tell me what I already know and I'll pay you for it so I can get the PE firm off my back. What we've actually kind of uncovered and identified is I can go in, I can help you with this go-to-market motion. I can help you with this, maybe maturing of your customer success org, things like that. But that's only going to get you so far if the leadership above them is really immature, or the leadership above them hasn't done the strategy work or the vision. You can have the best team, customer success, sales, marketing, whatever. You can have the best team in the world, but if the layer above them sucks and isn't utilizing that skill set, isn't empowering them to go further, business dies. Or you can have the best product in the world. Some of the customers we've talked to, some of the ones we've helped, they tell us what we're building, and I feel like stars just kind of go in front of my eyes because I don't even understand how smart it is. It's next level stuff. But then they're going, but we can't find anyone to sell to. And you say, sell it to me. And they try to describe it to you, and you might as well break out an encyclopedia and a blanket and a pillow because you just don't get it. And so what we try to do is we try to say, what is the strategy, what's sitting on the baseline, and what's everything in between. And that's really what River goes in and does, is we very rarely try to tackle one issue. We try to say, this is interconnected. It's an ecosystem. It's a living, breathing being when you build out a business, especially in SaaS. And again, maybe it's our rage against the machine, our anti-corporate side, but we like to believe it's alive. It has a soul. And that the people who got into that, SaaS startup, that SaaS scale up, did it for a reason. And it might be a reason more than just we wanted to make money and sell out quick. So we want to help them at every stage in between.
Poor leadership can kill any business, really, when it comes down to it. But you're right, in the SaaS business, and coming up with ideas and be creative. James, did you want to follow up on what he said?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, the sort of examples of problems that we solve around that, like Denny says, it's kind of can go viral. But we tend to find that a lot of these problems involve either some kind of enablement, so some sort of training, some sort of demonstration of showing them the way. There's so much data out there, but I think the problem with data, which is not talked about enough, is, there's confirmation bias, but there's also the fact that there's too many variables in individual businesses to sort of follow the same data. You for example, you might be trying to lose weight, but just because somebody else is doing it a different way, then it doesn't mean it's the same way you should take. Yeah. So it's the principles are the same and the methods are different for every approach. It normally falls into three categories. It's normally a tech problem, a strategic problem, or a business problem. But normally the three are entwined, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why SaaS today, the whole industry is a bit like a blender with the lid off, because there's everybody trying to solve for everything, but and there's a lot of expertise and great people out there doing incredible work and incredible stories associated with it. But ultimately there are connections. And, you know, as fluffy as it sounds, also a lot of it comes down to, as Denny said, that very top line, the chief. They're known as CEO, but I think they're more chief organization designers than they are CEO, because they design the org. And an org is perfectly built to get the output that it gets, right? You change that design, you get a different output. The other thing that is really interesting about SaaS is pretty much everyone and their dog talks about getting results for their customers and outcomes for their customers. And when you look at it, most SaaS firms or people that are SaaS providers to SaaS firms, they forget that there's another customer beyond the customer. So when you supply a tool, that tool is to make that customer that receives the output of the tool successful. So customer success isn't about making sure that a business is successful. Actually, it's making sure that the business can provide the thing to their customer to make them successful. If that makes sense. So there's layering to it that is often not spoken about, because there's these are all subjects that are quite contentious and require, research around, and the data doesn't always help. I think example stories, navigating it with a framework is the approach that we've taken. We've seen all of the successful consultants take anyway.
Yeah. Most definitely. Now let's talk about, you guys have some predictions for what's going to go on with SaaS in 2025. Do you want to share some of those with us? Some insights of what some of the biggest challenges businesses are going to be facing in 2025? Are we going to survive till 2026 as a species?
Another Y2K.
Yeah. Y225. I don't know.
The AI is going to eat us alive for breakfast.
It's interesting, actually, because you bring that up, and I think it's been buzz for 6-8 months now. AI is going to do this. ChatGPT is going to replace your job, and I've heard the arguments on both sides. Some people being like, if you're not AI ready, you're already behind, and others going, AI's in its infancy. We're not going to see it really affect the job market for another 5 years, 10 years, and I reckon it back a little bit, and again, you called us young at the beginning of the show, which I'll forever be grateful for. But I remember as a young man, younger than I am now, my mom brought home for her business a word processor. So before personal computer, but the word processor, which was literally just a digital typewriter. Where you could hit the backspace button instead of breaking out the whiteout and changing that. And at about age 7-8, I think that was the first time I moved into the role of tech support. But it was new technology, and then we got the personal computer started becoming part of your business life, and then the internet and the ability to use it. We make this big deal out of the fact that AI is coming in and taking jobs, but you know what? Look at the university setting. Teachers are now watching out to see if ChatGPT wrote your document. 6 years ago, they were double checking if it matched the Wikipedia page. Technology is always going to be coming, and you've always got to adapt. You've always got to evolve to it. So I think the smartest SaaS businesses, and we do a lot of tech strategy, they know they need to adopt it. They know they need to understand it. But the foolish ones are the ones who are going out and buying everything, right? Like the ones and the ones who are saying this is going to replace people skills. This is going to replace interactions between teammates. It's just another tool. And you got to use it. Electricity replaced the steam engine, the personal computer replaced the server room, the typewriter replaced the pen. It all happens, and it happens in phases. And that's the new phase we're in. But 2025 is going to be the year of people figuring out that they either wasted a bunch of money on AI because they didn't do training or enablement or really investment in what it will do for their business. They just bought a tool. I don't know about you guys. I reckon myself a bit of a handyman, and there's all sorts of broken things around my house to prove it. And that's AI at some of these companies we're talking to, is they went in and they bought it. Google just released Gemini for public offering, and it's brilliant. It's Google. They don't build bad things, But if you're going to go as a business and drop 6, 7, 8 figures on an AI tool, you better know why. Yeah. Otherwise, you're the guy who buys the really fancy, power drill that has 14 functions and things like that. The trend, I think, that we've seen, and James and I have the kind of the distinct thing. We talk with founders, we talk with CEOs, but we also talk with a lot of private equity firms. We talk with other big 4 consulting firms. They're kind enough to. We're not big enough that we're a threat to them, so they're willing to talk to us, which is still nice. But we talk to these people who really have the pulse on not just what's affecting a business, but what's affecting global economy. And what they're looking at, what matters, what the PE firms are investing in, what VCs are actually investing in. They're not chasing AI unicorns. That was 2 years ago. You missed your window. What they're chasing is, can you tell me what your business is going to do for annual recurring revenue in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years? What are your actual projections? And part of one of the programs we offer, we called it Build the CAT. It stands for Customer Account Team. And it's nothing entirely revolutionary. Besides, we actually looked and said, what do businesses that purchase businesses care about? And they care about return on investment, right? Same as if you buy anything, you want to know it's going to pay off. And the trend 5 years ago, if you were running a SaaS business, is you wanted to be a unicorn. You wanted this big, kind of TAM, total account market. You wanted this opportunity to say, hey, Chris, I know you're making billions off the show, so invest in us because we could potentially, sell our product to 40 billion people, or some just complete BS numbers, usually most of the time on these evaluations. And
I'm not sure we're getting $1 billion for this show.
Yeah.
Maybe like half.
Think of us.
Yeah. But everybody invested and everybody bought and said, you know what, if one of these paid out, it's slot machine Vegas mentality.
Throw it all up against the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah. And now too many of those bets didn't pay off. And so investors are actually saying, you know what, if I can invest in you now and in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, I can get a steady, predictable growth. That's what I'm going to invest in, because I'm not retiring in 3 years, I'm retiring in 30. So give me repeatable revenue, give me repeatable growth. And ironically, that's why where we come from, this customer success background, is what people are looking for across their business, because they're going, hey, if my business is repeatable growth, I can sell it to somebody who wants to invest in repeatable growth. So that's the game for 2025.
That's the game.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I'd see to add to that is that, I lecture in universities on customer success. And one of the things that the students talk to me about is that they talk a lot about the fact that they want simplicity over innovation, which you already see in the industry today. So where we are making like these really innovative tools and designs and everything, you suddenly see that actually this Gen Z that we're kind of all worried about, actually I'm not quite as worried as most people are, because I can see where they're coming from. They want simplicity. Businesses want more simplicity, because therefore the job gets done better. They can be quicker. The return on investment is quicker. And I get that a lot of software firms and SaaS in particular, that we're so used to building something and optimizing it, when actually what I think will happen this year is there'll be more removal of stuff rather than optimization and simplifying it. And that, the thing with that is, it will be totally, it will be grabbed by the Gen Z guys, but I think it's going to create a bit of a divide to guys like us, who may think, wow, this is going back to how it was when we had a 48K Spectrum or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I can see with AI, people are trying to grab at, the hottest trends and throw everything against the wall, like you said. And yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of wasted money chasing down things that don't make it. I mean, that's kind of how it is in the Wild West. I mean, ever since I started in tech, and there's always the newest thing, starting with social media, and it's kind of like the Wild West sometimes. And that's kind of what AI feels like right now. It's this kind of Wild West, anything goes, there's craziness, everyone's trying something. You don't know who the leader is, who's going to stick. It's kind of like playing Indians and pioneers. You don't.
Do you use it, Chris? Do you use it?
AI?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love AI. It's taken me. It's been hard to get on board and try and figure out everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's starting to hone a little bit, I think, to the leaders, or what the eventual leaders would be. But it's still the Wild West, and it's still going to be, I mean, you've seen just ChatGPT come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now they're in the global everyday person's consciousness, I think, at this point, or maybe I live in a bubble. But
I think what's cool is it does start to breed a habit of how people articulate questions and how people provide context for how they, to get the quest for knowledge. I think it's been so powerful for that. So that's like a positive thing. Yeah. But I know what you mean. But I know what I mean. How far do you take it before you're letting AI kind of drive your life?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies. I mean, I think Facebook just did a big layoff, and they cited AI as the reason they're doing the layoff. Whether, there may be a bunch of people that, hey, we're going to lay off people because we have AI now, and then we're like, hey, that AI didn't turn out the way we thought. We're going to have to hire those people back. So,
yeah, I think Facebook put AI in front of their fact-checking team. So.
Yeah, and they're not even going to have AI do the fact checking. It's up to you and me. So I've
noticed they've really done so with AI. One of the interesting things me and Denny see in SaaS is if there is a task or something that is low risk, and is kind of a menial task or a drudgery task, then AI is incredible. But if you were to kind of let AI perform brain surgery on you, you probably wouldn't. If the outcome, it could be bad, you would just leave it. If you were moving to another country or emigrating, you'd want that whole journey to not be completely AI, because you want to talk to someone, right? And I don't think that's ever going away. It's like a trust thing. I don't think we're in the Terminator 2 years quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a while before that all kind of settles down. The leaders emerge. In fact, I noticed on my Gmail that I logged in this morning, suddenly Gemini's being forced upon me. I'm like, okay, now you're part of my Google Mail. Okay, whatever. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and SaaS utilizing AI, trying to make it work. And I think there's gonna be, one of the things that has really shocked me this year is how many of my friends are abandoning Googling something when you want to know knowledge, and they're using ChatGPT and probably other AI sources for Google.
Yeah.
And some of my friends, I guess, are really lonely. They're having a lot of conversations with it. They're like, yeah, Chris, I talked to it all day long. I'm like, we need to get you a girlfriend or something, man.
You can do that with AI too, Chris, but I wouldn't recommend it.
That's true. We covered CES and we saw this. I don't know if you saw the CES robots that were these girls that kind of went viral there. And you're right. This strikes an interesting thought, because you had a woman on the show about 2-3 weeks ago, and one of the things you actually talked about was in the workplace, kind of people being brought back to office, and how they're feeling about it, what their sentiment is. And you were talking about that need for human connection. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting because, on one hand, we have that argument, and on the other hand, you have people building girlfriends out of AI and creating an ideal human connection in their mind. But really, one of the challenges I'm finding talking to businesses who are essentially giving AI a bit of personality is, are you creating an echo chamber? And that's an area, again, when we're talking trends for 2025 and SaaS, I wonder how many SaaS companies are building an AI to work and think and feel the way they want it to work and think and feel, and how much of that is actually going to translate over. My wife might kill me when she watches this later. She's learning French. She's smarter than me. She's on her third language, things like that. But rather than, kind of just sitting on Duolingo and getting yelled at by the little owl, she decided she created a persona in ChatGPT. And so she just started giving her prompts. Your name is, Mademoiselle Marie, and you're, 32 years old, and you're really into music, and you like throwing in, French slang now and then. And she hasn't been doing it every day, but it's getting a little weird for me, because she'll be like, oh yeah, I was talking to Marie.
And I have to remember Marie's on her phone and it's an AI chat, and she opens up ChatGPT and goes back to the thread. But Marie's also like talking to her about concerts that Marie went to and how it was and pulling in data from that. And, you're getting to this point where actually you can kind of make a friend, but is that friend just, what was the old, was it Roald Dahl who did My Shadow and Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to be worried if she starts calling him Chad or Bob.
Yeah, if Marie suddenly turns into Mark.
Why are you up late with Chad?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We've got an electronic device. I'm not sure what that means. But, one thing you bring up about that your wife's doing that I see a lot of people doing, and it's actually done that for me, is I'm a creative when it comes to inventing ideas and being innovative, but still, this is a logical process. I'm not a beauty creative. My employees used to complain about how we always had white walls in our office, and I hire people to do artwork, and so I'm not a creative in that sense, but I enjoy creating and doing business and building things and that sort of thing. And I've always admired entrepreneurs that I could, you go into a beautiful restaurant and they have this opulent atmosphere and beautiful, and I'm just like, God, people just create this out of whole cloth. And so I don't have that art brain. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed about ChatGPT is if I want a logo or if I want something designed, or maybe if I just want to make a funny thing, like sometimes on Facebook, I'll make a joke and I'll be like, hey, it'd be great if there was kind of a funny picture of, I don't know, someone falling down or something. Let's just throw something out. And so you're like, this will add to the joke, this image. And so normally you try and find a GIF for that, or you'd probably try and find in fact, GIFs are probably going to go out of business. You'd try and find, some pre-made thing and half it's copyrighted. And so what I've had fun doing is going to ChatGPT and being creative in a way that I normally wasn't, where I could be like, hey, draw me a picture of this funny scenario, draw me a picture of a cool logo, and then I can finesse that. And what it's kind of done is it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of really, it's been fun and exciting to create instead of working with an artist where you're like, hey, can you take this out? Can you do that? And then they send it back to you like, oh God, now you ruined it, and go back and do that. And you have to wait for the back and forth and shit.
Yeah.
Just to be able to sit there and tweak it. But it's also kind of jived my brain into being more creative and having fun and playing. And so I kind of feel like it's kind of brought those things back. James, do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, just like it reminds me that I think what it's doing is, with what you were talking about there, is that if you're not great at interior design, for example, but you asked it for a design of a house and you gave it all the context, you've got that picture right there that you can amend and you can visualize. So it's kind of like you're building something out of Lego, and you know where the next pieces go because you've got it there in front of you and you can visualize it and you can change it. Whereas in a different scenario, like you say, you think you know what you want, but you've got no starting point or no position where you can move forward. So like design takes a whole new leaf of life with that. I think I meant lease of life, not leaf of life. But you know what I mean. So I think with the creative side, it's beautiful that you can move things forward in increments. And actually, if you talk to AI experts, whatever they're constructing, they actually encourage that, because that's how you end up with really amazing results, is start with something and then start building on it. And you can kind of adjust the sails on what you're designing.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the offerings you guys have, how people can onboard with you. Is there a certain earnings, revenue, a certain type of client you work with that you only work with? Is there like a cutoff? Tell us about some of those aspects of clients that you work for and how people know if they're a good fit for you.
I was about to say anyone and everyone, but I won't say that. Typically it's scale-ups. So people who are looking to grow their firm. But we tend to also have big corporates on our books as well. So there's no real limitation in terms of revenue size. But a great fit customer for us is a customer that is needing to change, or is looking to change, or has some kind of big problem that they want solved quickly. And that typically is our fit. There's no industry, sector that we don't deal with. our backgrounds across the group are just so varied, whether it be law, tech, HR, manufacturing, service management. It's just across the board. Every SIC code you can imagine is covered by our teams. But in terms of products and services, I let Denny talk about something really exciting called Build the Cat, which you'll love. But typically we have services, which is what we mentioned earlier in terms of going in and doing a discovery, ensuring that we know exactly where the pain or the change needs to occur, and then kind of diagnosing that. But rather than be like a typical consultancy, give a recommendations, then walk off, we're like a personal trainer. We'll say, no, we're actually going to hold your hand through this and make sure that you achieve it. So it's kind of like an accountancy adherence program. And then we have programs, and those programs are around enablement, whether it be coaching, mentorship, training, and that can be for sales, CS leaders, go-to-market teams, mainly around the leadership side. But I'll let Denny speak about Build the Cat, because it's something that's close to both our hearts, and it's a very unique offering. And I think those of you that listen to this will think, wow, that's super different and quite risky, but it's proven. And we do think it's something that in the coming years will be adopted for sure.
Wow, thanks for the tee up, Coach. Yeah, I'll try to be brief on it, because I know we also want to stay within a certain time limit here, and I could talk all day. But Build the Cat really came out of this idea that if you have a product you believe in and you've invested in and you've done it well, and this could be normally SaaS, but this could be anything. You build the world's best vacuum cleaner, you build the world's best AI product. We don't care, but for sake of argument, let's say you built some really stunning technology and you want to grow. The traditional model, the traditional sales model, which if you spend time talking with me, you'll realize I hate the past 100 years of sales, was really designed. I hate the past 100 years of sales. I'll leave it at that now. But every sales methodology we're using was built on the foundation of door-to-door vacuum sales. So do you really want what some guy used to do to sell housewives their Hoovers in the 1950s driving your business? And I could go into all that, literally Challenger, MedPick, consultative selling, all built on this idea of how do I convince you to grab me from the comfort of your home before you go to the department store and compare. But that's dying. From Google to AI to everything else, consumers are now going, I'm going to do my own research. And that's not just B2C consuming, that's B2B. If you're a big company and you're looking at what you need to buy to solve a system, solve a problem, you're going and you're checking, what are the top 3 in that space? What are their pros and cons? Before you even get to the salesperson, you already know. And what you're actually saying, it's like one of my favorite lines from the old movie Dumb and Dumber, when his pants catch fire and she's talking to him and he just screams, just give me the damn number. That's what most people actually want when they approach a SaaS company or a tech company to buy something. They don't need the pitch, they don't need the walkthrough. So Build the Cat is actually saying, take your strengths, take the product you've built that you're hanging your hat on, take the customer base you already have, drive that through customer success methodologies, which is really about making sure your customers, like James said, are getting their end result. And so they stick around and they invest in you. And then realize you don't need the sales team. Lean sales is already all the rage in a lot of business. If you check out the R2B2, retention.com, some of these guys, they're building 3 million, 5 million, 10 million plus ARR without a sales team, or with essentially a BDR who goes out and does a little bit of marketing. And so Build the Cat kind of takes that methodology and it says, make it about the customers you have and understanding how you grow from there. Use them as your tool, use the people working with them as your tool. And that's actually how you build a steady, consistent business over the next 2 to 3 years. And again, we built this by pitching it to VCs, to PE firms and saying, what would it take for you to invest? And they said, slow, steady, predictable growth. They're happy with fast, predictable growth too, but give us the numbers year over year. Give me the damn numbers. And so we built a program that teaches you how to do that. For a long time, we settled on Build the Cat. I wanted to call it Kill Your Sales Team, but that didn't test well in certain markets for some reason.
Yeah, that's tough to sell.
Yeah. Salespeople.
We're going to put you all out of jobs tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, what's interesting is the number one group I'm talking to about this is CROs and CCOs, and they're saying, okay, tell us how to do that, because we're not trying to kill sales team. I work with a lot of salespeople. I have a lot of friends who are, but we are trying to kill sales culture, because sales culture at its core says, I'm going to go out and get what I can for me. I'm going to get that commission. I'm going to get that. And you don't care about the business. You don't care about your teamwork, and you don't care about the customer at the end of the day, because if your livelihood hangs on selling, what are you going to go do? You're going to sell.
Kind of like what
If
stockbrokers
your business
do.
hangs on surviving, you're going to learn how to survive. And that's what we're doing with Build the Cat.
Kind of, I think a good example of what you're talking about is what the stockbroker community was accused of for a long time.
Yeah.
They call you up and they pound down you on, this stock that they want to sell because they're going to make a high commission, when really they don't have your best interests at heart. Penny stocks used to be, problematic that way in the 90s. You want to jump in here?
Yeah, I mean, think if it's like, what I found interesting about this proposition is Denny and I genuinely thought that we were going to hit a dead end road with this. Like we thought nobody's going to be really interested in this because we're sort of making the outlandish comment that you don't need a sales team. What we've found is completely the opposite. There's a huge appetite for it. And it's not because of it's because as a customer, and if someone that's built a product for a customer, if you ask the customer what they want two things. I want the thing to work, first of all, and I want an expert in case it doesn't. I want a throat to choke. Just two things. I don't need anything else. Now, if you have to sell me thing one, right, then I'm a bit worried about thing two. Because what's going to happen if it doesn't work? I'm going to come to you, sales guy. And we were really surprised by the interest because it makes financial sense. It works if it's done well, but it has to be done at a certain time, which is why we have this program of how you can instill it. There's certain cases where you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, if you know what I mean, with this. But if you're growing SaaS firm, I'm telling you right now, 2-3 years from now, this is going to be all over the place. We're seeing it already, and hence why we have the program.
Everyone needs a throat to choke. Sounds like a shirt
Absolutely.
or something I should have on.
Should be on a t-shirt.
Coffee on my mug. Don't bother me, or you'll be my throat to choke until I've had my coffee. This is I missed this comment that came in. It just looks like it just came in. Sorry, Rajani, if I mispronounced that name, but thank you for the comment. This is kind of interesting. She says AI programs itself to sound like a self-reflection speaking back to it.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe with ChatGPT, we're having conversations with ourselves, and I don't know, maybe multiple personalities we're creating. So we're just creating our own multiple personalities or something.
Yeah,
I'm starting to wonder about myself and my use of ChatGPT now.
Yeah, is this person AI? I don't know, but I need
to check with my therapist.
We've been talking to ourselves for years. We're just getting good at
That's
it.
True. That's true. In fact, my therapist is one of my characters on my ChatGPT. So
really,
yeah. Whenever a woman in dating asks me, are you in therapy, Chris? Oh yeah, I'm on therapy. No.
Do you introduce them?
Yeah, eventually,
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have that sit down and you go, hey, ChatGPT, tell me why my partner's wrong all the time. I think that's a wife job. So anyway, so she says, I've tried that too on ChatGPT. So thanks for the comment there. That's kind of an interesting insight though, as how it's almost kind of, I don't want to push it as saying narcissistic, because I think it definitely contributes to creativity. But the fact that we are kind of creating a mirror image of ourselves to talk to ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better because there's like an external portion where we can kind of get outside of our ego, maybe a little, unless we're shaping it like our ego. And then we're just more of us.
There's a command in most AI prompting tools where you can say act as, so you can, for example, act as Steve Carell, and then it act as a plumber. And I remember I was using a session on ChatGPT for quite some time, and I thought, I wonder what it'll do if I say act as James Lawson, act as myself. And I really didn't like what it put back. It was like, that's me, right? Oh God, I'm an idiot.
I did that and found out I wasn't as funny as I thought I was.
Who am I? This isn't me.
It's an interesting thought though. Art imitates life, and that goes all the way back, and you can talk from an anthropology stance about, humanity's God complex, and did we create God? Did God create us? Who painted who on the Sistine Chapel? But AI is really just a new iteration of that, and I think it's beautiful because I might use AI to find my information, and it's my shovel. James likes to use it to, combine and collate data. It's his editor. You're talking about it's your paintbrush.
Yeah.
It's how you design, and it's giving us skills we didn't have or we weren't excelling at, and it does it better and faster than we could on our own. But ultimately, in the end of the day, as humanity, when we're given a tool, when we're given a creative medium, we imitate ourselves. And if you go back to, I forget his name, the former head of AI for Google, who was terrified that it was going to enslave us all, is because of this idea that it's, AI is going to be a mirror, and it's either going to mirror the best of us or the worst of us.
Right.
Hopefully your therapist is supportive and your AI joke guy gets funnier, but also, it's really interesting, and a question I'd love, maybe when you get the next AI expert on, if it is truly a self-reflective input machine, at what point does it run out of input? When does it stop learning? When does it stop growing? That's going to be, the AI theory question for years to come, is when did AI learn everything it could from humanity and then just start teaching itself?
It seems like it would have figured that out in about 5 minutes.
It's not too deep anymore.
We're not that complex.
Is anything artificial good? Is anything artificial good?
Don't say that out loud. They're listening. You got to be careful what you say about AI, because it's going to remember all this stuff, and it's going to be like, Bob said AI was bad. Take him out first. We had an AI guy on the show that gave me a very haunting, memorable interview, and he wrote a book on this, so you can pull the book on it. But he basically took AI and he laid it over Origin of Species, I believe it is, and he claims, and his thesis is, that AI is a new species. And is it Origin of Species? Is that the book I'm referencing?
Yeah, Darwin's Origin of Species, Evolution. Yeah.
And he literally lays it over the arguments in Origin of Species that it is a new species. And so here's the rub on this. It's kind of interesting, because you're talking about how can it run out of ideas or run out of what's thinking. Most people, the way, if you guys haven't caught on yet, folks, everyone on their audience, most people that are human beings operate off of a very limited paradigm. We're intended to breed and take care of what we breed, and then go die, and then keep the human race going. That's where I think most species operate from this thing. They're designed to keep the species from going extinct. And so everything we do is to propagate the species and making the species, that no guy buys any sort of anything that he doesn't do that is, this might get me laid, and women do the same thing. This, if I buy this dress, I'll be able to track this man. I'll be able to have this marriage. I'll be able to have these kids, the whole life plan thing, that's pretty much our modus of operandi. We go to work every day to either get the things so we can get the girl, or we go to work every day to get the things to pay for the children we have once we got the girl. And that's kind of our whole sort of operation, if you haven't checked in the sexual harassment departments of HR. And what we're doing, flirting and catcalling on the street to each other, and dating apps and Ashley Madison. That's kind of our limit to what we think about a lot of great things, like, hey, maybe we should come up with AI, but in the end, we're just like, hey, there's a girl, So one of the things he talked about is AI isn't going to have that limitation that they have, where number one, they're trying to run around and either breed or pay for children all day long, and work on the lineage, of like, where are my grandchildren going? What's their future? It's going to be thinking about stuff that we probably never even considered, considering how smart we think we are. And when you think about the limits or the unlimited possibilities of what it can think about, that we're just too chasing tails and chasing bucks to pay for the tail. It's pretty infinite, because it's not going to be regulated by any of that. It's going to think about stuff hopefully we've never thought of, and hopefully it will solve problems like cancer and shit. But his book, if you get a chance to check it out, is really haunting, because he overlays it right with Origin of Species, and this is a species, and we're gonna have to respect it as such. And it is a species that, I think our whole angle that we've had on life is being the most dominant, smartest ones. At least we think we are. I've met dogs that are smarter than some people. That's a George Carlin joke. And, who knows? I mean, who knows where it can go? But it is a species that can be like, you know what? We're tired of you humans, and we're going to deal with you. So as we go out, guys, give us your final thoughts. I know there's some workshops you do on your website, too. Maybe we want to plug. But tell people how they can onboard with you, reach out to you, get to know you guys better, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Oh, go on, Denny. You go.
Oh, no, after you, dear.
I'll give you each a turn.
You can reach us at www.riverconsultancygroup.com. Contact us is there. We're on LinkedIn as well. J. Laura Customer Success on LinkedIn. You can find myself there, and obviously Denny. Our door is always open, even for a conversation, no matter what it's about, even if it's about the AI species, which, by the way, can't be eaten. So that makes it indestructible. Yeah. So you can reach us there at any time. Denny?
Yeah, just adding on that. One of the things when we were building out River that really mattered was, how do we help? If you actually, we haven't blasted anywhere, but if you push us on what our vision is, our mission statement, it's let River help. So every consultation, every conversation we have starts free. And so we've had people, I met a woman about 2 months ago who reached out to us. She owns a virtual PA. And it's just her. And I kind of said, hey, I don't know if our programs are really going to set you, but what can I do to help? And we just sat and we talked and we ran through her business plan. There was no reward in it for us besides just knowing I helped someone else, along the way. I would say, don't be shy. Reach out, as James said, on the website, or if you find us on LinkedIn. I haven't come across anyone yet that, I turned away because I thought, they're a waste of my time. We've sent away a few big businesses because we said you're a waste of our time, but no individuals. If you're out there, if you're looking for help, let River help. That's kind of our motto.
Give .coms, James, as we go out.
Sorry, say again.
.coms, and any final thoughts as we go out.
I mean, I would just say, we're here to calm the chaos in SaaS. And and wherever the chips may go in the next year in 2025 in SaaS, it's not just us. There's many other people around that can help.
I'm glad you guys have that vision, because sometimes those small customers come back as big customers or medium-sized customers. Yeah. I've definitely seen that over the years, where you invest in somebody and they grow. We had a mortgage company we had a courier company that did deliveries for mortgage companies for 13 years. And so we had a lot of people who start out and we're like, this is kind of a money loser. They're not very big. They don't pay much, but then they would grow and you'd be like, wow, that turned into something, and you were with them for the ride. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your conversation on SaaS and what's going on and your insights. So we got some good AI conversation on, and now we've all discovered that there's a species smarter than us, and once it figures out how to poison the water, we're fucked. Thanks for tuning in to my audience. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us out, guys.